You know that feeling, right? When you're trapped in a mental loop, just replaying a conversation over and over, or worrying about something that might happen, and you just can't switch your brain off? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's a pretty universal human thing, and today we're going to unpack the psychology behind why we do it. And we're going to start with a scene that might feel just a little too familiar. So picture this. It's the middle of the night. We'll call her Sarah. She's wide awake, and for what feels like the 100th time, she's replaying this tiny conversation she had with her boss 3 days ago. Did he sound annoyed? What did he really mean when he said her presentation was interesting? By 4 a.m., she's absolutely convinced she's about to get fired. And by morning, she's just exhausted and no closer to a real answer.
If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you know just how frustrating that cycle can be. So, what is actually going on inside our heads? Why does our brain, this incredible problem-solving machine, seem to torture itself like this? Well, let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so to figure out how to escape this mental prison, we first have to identify the two types of bars that keep us locked in. Let's break down the two main patterns that make up the overthinking trap.
So on one hand, you've got rumination. This is all about being trapped in the past. Think of Marcus, who just can't stop replaying a breakup from 2 years ago, dissecting every single moment. And on the other hand, you've got worry. This is being paralyzed by the future. That's Jennifer, who has this amazing business plan but is totally frozen by an endless list of what-ifs. So one looks back, the other looks forward, but they're both stuck on the exact same mental hamster wheel, spinning and going absolutely nowhere.
So, why? Why do we do this? Well, the answer is actually pretty fascinating. It turns out our brains are basically running on some really ancient survival software that, isn't always a great fit for the modern world.
Let's rewind the clock. Way back, like 50,000 years ago. Imagine one of our ancestors hears a branch snap in the dark. Now, the one who just optimistically assumes it's the wind, well, they might get eaten. But the one who worries, who imagines every possible predator lurking out there, that's the one who survives to pass on their genes. Your brain still has that exact same wiring. The problem is, today, it treats an ambiguous text message with the same life-or-death urgency as a tiger in the bushes.
And this right here is the perfect example of what psychologists call the negativity bias. It's the reason you can get 10 compliments and 1 piece of criticism, and what do you fixate on all night? The criticism. Every single time. From a survival point of view, it makes sense. Missing a threat was way more dangerous than missing a compliment.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Your prefrontal cortex, the problem-solving part of your brain, is a genius at solving concrete problems. But when you give it something ambiguous like, what did my friend really mean by that comment? Well, there's no clear answer, so it gets stuck. It just goes into this infinite loop, searching and searching for a sense of certainty that just doesn't exist.
And look, this isn't just some harmless little quirk we have. Unchecked overthinking has real, tangible costs. It leads to this state of analysis paralysis that can genuinely, seriously impact your life.
You want to know the trickiest part of all this? The real trap? Overthinking feels productive. You feel like you're working on the problem, right? Because you're thinking about it so much. But in reality, it's a super sophisticated form of avoidance. You're not actually solving anything, you're just kind of marinating in the problem. And that stops you from taking the one action that would actually bring you some clarity. And believe me, these costs really do add up. First, there's the constant mental exhaustion. I mean, your brain uses about 20% of your body's energy, and all that rumination is like running a mental marathon every single night. Your relationships can get strained because you're so stuck in your own head, you're not actually present with people. And of course, you miss opportunities, like analyzing a job offer for so long that they end up hiring someone else. And over time, this can literally change your brain chemistry, making you much more likely to develop anxiety and depression. All right, so that's the heavy stuff, the problem. But here's the good news, and it's really good news. You are not powerless here, not at all. There are concrete, actionable things you can do to break that cycle and take back control of your mind.
First up, get it out of your head. Write your thoughts down. When you see them on paper, they often seem way less scary. Second, schedule your worry time. Seriously. Give yourself 15 minutes a day to just worry. This teaches your brain that it's okay to put the anxiety off for later. Third, question your fears. Keep asking, so what, until you get to the real core belief hiding underneath. And finally, and this is the big one, take a small, imperfect action.
And I really can't overstate that last point. Overthinking loves uncertainty and inaction. That's where it thrives. But one small step, sending the email, making the call, just having the conversation, that one action will give you more clarity than 100 hours of mentally rehearsing ever will. Action is the antidote. Movement is what breaks the spell.
You know, a huge piece of this puzzle is learning to have a new relationship with your thoughts. And this gets to the very heart of mindfulness. Your thoughts, they are not facts. They're just mental events. Think of them like leaves floating down a river. You can learn to just observe them without feeling like you have to jump into the water and get swept away by every single one.
So, let's be clear. The goal is never to stop thinking. Not at all. The goal is to learn the difference between productive, deep thinking and that destructive, repetitive loop of overthinking. It's really all about creating a new, much healthier relationship with your own mind.
So if you're listening to this and thinking, yep, that's me, I really want you to hear this. You are not broken. Overthinking is not some character flaw. It's just a misguided survival mechanism. It's your ancient brain trying really hard to protect you, but its tools are just a little outdated for the modern world.
Okay, so let's just wrap up with the big takeaways. The things to remember when your brain starts to sprint. Number 1, your brain is just trying to keep you safe. Number 2, those catastrophic worst-case scenarios you keep imagining, they almost never, ever happen. Number 3, you are so much more resilient and capable than your anxious brain gives you credit for. And finally, the goal is progress, not perfection.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question, a challenge really. Thinking about your own patterns. What is one small, maybe even imperfect action you can take today to move from just analyzing to actually doing and start to break free?